Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Good to be back on this Friday night for you guys. Friday for you guys. What day is it for me? I don't know anymore. I think it's Saturday. It's like Saturday afternoon. Good to be back. Hey, so yesterday at the end of the show, we got some breaking news about a young girl, 13 years old. Her name is Layla, and there had been a search for most of the week out in a town called Donald in Victoria, and they were searching for her. They're like, this girl went missing. Information was a little tight for most of the week. And then yesterday we heard that actually on Thursday they had found, I want to say it in the nicest way I can. They found her. She's not alive. And then they said that they were doing a raid on a property, executing a search warrant. And then we heard later in the afternoon yesterday that they had arrested a 16-year-old boy. And at a press conference with Victoria Police, they said that they were not really looking for anyone else. They figured that the person responsible for hurting Layla was in custody, and that they didn't believe that there was any more threat to the community. Now, for people who don't know anything about what I just said, they all just sound like words, but they don't really sound like anything you know. Donald is like a really small it's a pretty small town. It's about 1,500 people. It's about, what is it, 280 kilometers north of Melbourne. So it's not really close. It's a couple of hours out. Yeah, let me see if I can. I think I had a photo where I can show you the actual map. Let me bring that up. Hey, how you guys doing? I hope you guys are having a great day. Yeah, let me get this set up for you guys. How's your Friday been? Having fun? Can I get you a coffee? Can I get you a martini? What do you guys need? Let me see. Where's my map? Because I think it's easier if I show you. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, that'll be easier to show you. So oh, my camera's not on. Hey, I am here. Um, Donald is up here, so you guys can see on the map exactly where it is. By the way, I pinched this. I think it was from The Age, so thanks, The Age. Uh, yeah, so you can kind of see where it is. It's sort of northwest, about 280 kilometers, way out past Bendigo, way out past Ballarat, and it's a pretty small town, only like 1,500 people. It's yeah, it's just not really a lot of people. So it's very sad. It's an awful crime. 13 years old and is killed by a 16-year-old male. So the press conference, they did have a press conference yesterday, but they didn't really say a lot. They basically said that they couldn't mention anything because it's an active investigation. You know how those press conferences go. They have a press conference to say exactly nothing. And that's basically what it was. They just confirmed that they had found the remains of that 13-year-old girl and that they had taken someone into custody. Now, it says here detectives from the missing person squad have arrested a 16-year-old male after human remains were located in Donald yesterday as part of a search for a missing teenage girl. A warrant was executed at a residential address earlier today. That was yesterday. And a 16-year-old from the Swan Hill area was taken into custody. He is currently being interviewed by detectives. They then go on to say two women, a 53-year-old from Donald and a 55-year-old from Melbourne, are also assisting police with their inquiries. They say the remains are yet to be formally identified, but they are believed to be those of the missing 13-year-old girl, Layla. A large-scale search was conducted in bushland, and they're saying after she was reported missing by her family members on the 5th of July. The 13-year-old was last seen on McCracken Avenue in Donald on the 4th of July, however, had not been seen or heard from since. Local police, along with specialist officers from the Dog Squad, Air Wing, and Search and Rescue Squad, were involved in the search, which resulted in the remains being located late on Thursday afternoon. The investigation into the circumstances around the death of the girl remain ongoing. However, police are currently treating it as suspicious. That is basically what we know right now. There's a tiny bit more from another article, and I'll grab it. But it's a sad case. I mean, how does a 13-year-old girl I it's 13, man. You go, "What were you doing at 13?" I don't It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So we often talk on this channel about women who were killed, right? Grown women, young ladies, 18, 19, 21, 35, that type of thing. And then we see it even extends to young females that are like 13. It's not how they should be. Like, it should be very different to this. Very different. You know, 13's barely enough to be sort of like living your life. You're 13, you haven't even done anything yet. It's really sad. Um, hey, Video Real, what's up? You think he's connected to other cases being No. No, I don't think so. The information that I have is that he is known to police, and police sort of already had an idea of who it might have been. They were just trying to sort of put it all together over the last 5 days. So I don't think the police went into this blind and they were like, "Oh, we don't know what's going on." It seemed like they sort of exactly knew what was going on. They were just trying to figure it out, and it took them a couple of days to do that. Here, I want to take you out to a video. It has a little bit more. It's not a lot of information right now, but I'll take you out to a video and we can watch it together. It's from our friends at 7 News in Melbourne.
Hearts are breaking in country Victoria tonight after the murder of a 13-year-old girl.
Her body was found dumped in a river 5 days after she vanished from her family's Donald home. Her alleged killer, aged just 16.
Since Layla Jeffrey disappeared, the people of Donald had their hearts in their mouths. Tonight, those hearts are broken.
Sadly, last night, human remains were located in the parkland area adjacent to where we are now, which we believe, sadly, are that of the missing girl, Layla.
A 13-year-old girl killed, a teenage boy in custody. Police found him at a nearby home this morning.
At this location, we've arrested a 16-year-old youth.
That boy was known to Layla and to police.
We also have a 53-year-old Donald woman and a 55-year-old woman from Melbourne assisting us with our inquiries.
A quiet girl, Layla Jeffrey was homeschooled and wasn't known to find trouble, but evil found her in the remote wheat belt town she called home.
The family were known well in the town, people knew them.
To wake up and find this tragic news has been unimaginable for the family.
The teenager vanished last Saturday, but locals say the search ramped up 2 days ago, focusing on bushland around the Richardson River flats.
They obviously had some idea what they were looking for in a location.
She was found just 1 kilometre from her home. It's not clear how long she'd been there or what injuries she'd sustained. The sources told 7 News the scene behind me was so traumatic that some officers were told to take time away from it. It's a tragedy that'll now send shockwaves through this tiny town of just 1,500 people.
It is being felt very widely throughout the community.
These are the things that don't happen in small country, close-knit communities.
I understand the sentiment of that man saying that it doesn't happen in small, close-knit communities, but I don't think that's right. I think that that's a wrong idea to sort of look at the way women are victimized. I think the message that we should be trying to get out is that it's such a problem that it can happen anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're a small country town or you're a big city like Melbourne. It seems to infiltrate every aspect of our society, whether you're in a 2,000 people town or somewhere that has millions of people like Melbourne. So I get his sentiment. He's just trying to say, normally country towns are quite safe, but I don't know. This proves to you that it's sort of really not. And to have a 13-year-old girl killed in this way, like you heard, the crime scene was so traumatic that officers were told to take time away from it. and the person responsible, allegedly, I don't think we have any charges as of yet. They've just been taken into custody. It's a possible 16-year-old boy committed this crime. Like, if you don't know the history of Melbourne right now, Melbourne and Victoria as a whole are having this sort of problem with like youth crime. I mean, I know it's a bit of a media beat up, but it has been a sort of running theme for a number of years now. And it's you now hear that a 16-year-old male has killed a 13-year-old. It's like, where does it stop? Where does it freaking stop? Hey, good to see you all. Hey, Mimi. Hey, Robert. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. So yeah, very, very sad story. Like, I don't want to bring you stories like this. I mean, we talk about some pretty horrific stuff, but uh, some of these stories are just ridiculous. They're saying here they interviewed Layla's aunt. Her name is Caitlin. They're saying here that she held back tears on Saturday morning, that is today, as she described the pain of knowing that her 13-year-old had left a light on when she left home in the very early hours of July 4, 5 days before she was found. The teen, who had been awake late last Friday night sending TikTok videos to her aunt, was home until just before 4 a.m. They then say, after that, we don't have any confirmation of where she went or what has happened. We just want to know we just want to know that she was here and that she wasn't. So they're saying that she was at home at one point, and then very early in the morning she disappeared. They're saying she had turned the light on before she left because she was planning to come back home. So they have the feeling that her plan was to go do something and then eventually make it back home. But as we know now, they found her body in that what they call the river flats area of the town. They're saying Layla's body was found late on Thursday afternoon by police who conducted an extensive ground and air search for the teen. Yeah, there were calls coming out. I can't tell you how I know this, but I can tell you that along with the police, the air wing, the dog squad, also the local SES from that area were also called in. They were asking for members for the last 4 days to come in. So, like, every day, they were putting a call out for their members to basically have availability to come in and do this search for Layla. And it's annoying that while the police obviously get the grand, kudos and all that, the people of the SES volunteered their time to come in and help as well. SES is fully volunteer based, and yeah, they had a lot of people come and help and try and find this girl. So wanted to, put it out there that they also helped, because most of the writing here, here's a photo of them. Yeah, right here. There you go. There's some SES personnel. So yeah, there was a big call out over there. I don't want to say too much of what it is, but there was a big call out through their so they're based in different regions, and their region hierarchy was putting out calls asking for availability for people because the search was that massive that they needed a lot of people to come and help. So all these people volunteered, put up their hands, said, "Hey, I can go and do that." And yeah, they went out there. So these are good people. They volunteer for some of the toughest cases, and they're good people, good community people. Hey Mimi, how are you? I had to come to New Mexico, NM, New Mexico. My dad and stepmom wrecked their motorhome really bad. My dad is going to be okay. Lost what? Are you joking that you lost your stepmom? That's terrible, my friend. I feel like I could have read your message more sympathetic. That's terrible. I'm sorry that happened to you. That's awful. That's awful. That sounds like a really hectic week. Yeah, I agree with you. So where do we go from here? Well, we're waiting to hear more about what charges this 16-year-old might face and whether he might be, if charges eventuate, could he be charged as an adult? I'm not sure, but we'll have to wait and see. They're saying here on Friday, Detective Inspector Dave Dunstan from the Missing Persons Squad said police had arrested a 16-year-old from Northern Victoria, what we know as Swan Hill now. He remains in custody but has not been charged at this time. I find that very interesting that there's no charges as of yet. What else are they saying here? Yeah, so no, yeah, I'm gonna double check that information because we're about 24 hours now away from this, and I would be surprised if there are still no charges on this. Let me have a look. Yeah, I'm not seeing any. That's interesting. Maybe they're waiting on something. I'm not sure quite what they're waiting on, but it could be post-mortem, it could be evidence from the crime scene, it could be maybe they're waiting for an admission, maybe they're hoping for a confession. I don't know, but I know that when you're dealing with a 16-year-old, there are certain laws that are different from when you're dealing with an adult. So when you're dealing with an adult, you can sort of keep them in custody, you can interview them several times. I know with a underage person, there are different laws. Sometimes you have to have an adult, sometimes you have to have some sort of advocate for the underage person, and it also limits the amount of interview time that you can do with them. So maybe that's what's going on. They're having to work around those requirements right now. Um, Hey Lindy, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. By the way, I hope you like the new layout. Hope you like the new logo up in the corner. It looks cool. I like it. Also, apparently they have these now. Look at this. Um, is it this one? Ah, no, no, don't do that. The comment was there. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. There you go. You can like and subscribe. They have these all little overlays now, including this. So we can call this breaking news. It is definitely some sort of breaking news. Yeah, so there you go. Fun little things here. Let's see. I want to see. Yeah, we're sorry for Mimi. That's terrible. Okay, let's get back to the topic. It's awful, guys. I told you I would bring you an update if I could get you one, and we read about this yesterday afternoon. You now have your update. I don't know how much more to tell you except for let's see what happens over the next 48 hours. I suspect by Monday we're probably going to get a bigger update. Something like the 16-year-old has finally been charged and maybe will have fronted a court because the weekend, I think there's no court available after midday, something like that. There's no bail court after like midday on a Saturday or something. So it may have to wait till Monday. Maybe that's what they're waiting for as well. A time when he would be able to get before a judge. Could be that too. So I'll let you know. But the Detective Inspector Dunstan said, "We are quietly confident that those responsible are now in custody. We don't think there's anyone else who may be involved in this situation." And they continue to go on and say, "It is a tragic outcome for the Donald community, and we implore people to reach out for support if they are affected by this." And I think that's a good bit of advice. You know, that town being at like that guy said, very close knit, they will be suffering right now. A lot of people knew that young girl. A lot of people had seen her out, knew the family, had met her through a variety of social interactions, and yeah, I'm sure the town's also a bit wary with all the police and things going on. There's a lot of police activity throughout the town as well. Um, yeah, terrible. All right, let me see if I can get here for you guys. I am following another story out of the US, and I want to show you this for a second. Where is it? I know we have some people who are from Missouri on here, and I do see the craziness that's going on down there right now. This is a photo from a helicopter flying over Missouri, and look at the absolute amount of water on the ground. Like, you can't even tell what that is. Is it a river? Is it land? Is it a farm? Like, what is it? It just looks like a giant patch of water, like real muddy water too. You can't even see through it. It almost looks solid. It's not, it's water, but it almost looks like it's sand or something like that. So I know there's a lot of people suffering right now in Missouri and places surrounding it from the absolute crazy amounts of rainfall that have come down over the last number of days. And I hope everyone's okay out there. It looks really bad out there. It doesn't look great. I can't remember what the totals were, but there were like hundreds of inches of rain out there. I know there's been like community meetings and people have been swept away. They're saying here that there is at least one person missing after her home was washed away in floodwaters. Her name is Faith Gregory. She's 23 years old and vanished along with her Davisville property after a surge of water swelled around the home at 3:30 a.m. on Friday morning in the southeastern Crawford County. They're saying that she and her boyfriend Logan managed to pile into a kayak and made it out of the water, but Gregory and their pets were swept away. So they haven't been able to find her so far. I hope they do. I don't even know. That'd be so frightening in the middle of the night. You can't see anything. There's probably no electricity because of the water. It's pitch black, and there is water like this surrounding your home. I think that would be absolutely frightening. It's Crawford County. Crawford County looks like one of the ones that have been hit really hard. So, um, Sweeney said, "Where I live, we never have flooding." Hey, Video Real, how are you, my friend? Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Here, let's see if we can find a better update for you where we can see more of the area. But look at this. This is like people being trapped on top of cars. Look at this. There's people that are like sitting on top of an SUV with life jackets on because it's the highest point around. And if you look in this photo, there's a freaking electricity line running through the photo. So someone's gone up higher to try and take the photo. So they are pretty high up. There's a bloody electrical line through the photo. So I hope everyone's all right down there. They're saying here that it was caused by relentless thunderstorms that dumped between 6 and 12 inches of rain near the Black River in southeastern Missouri, inundating roads, campgrounds, and communities. Reminds me very much of what happened in Texas a couple of years ago, where we had that training thunderstorms that went over that area and ended up flooding out that camp, where it killed a bunch of people, and a couple of them were never found. A couple of them, including a young girl, was just never located after the flood. And they're saying here, they're calling it a once in a millennium rainfall event in Missouri. So it's pretty bad out there. I hope everyone is okay. They're saying here that there is multiple people that have been rescued out there. And yeah, they're doing all these sort of swift water rescues out there. I'm just trying to see if I can find you a better update. Hold on. Yeah, they're calling it a once in a millennium flooding in central and southeast Missouri, 1 in 1,000 years. That's pretty bonkers. 1 in 1,000 years. Let me have a look. Yeah, here, wow, look at the rainfall chart here. This was the rainfall chart, and you can see the observed rainfall here Friday evening. So there's Kansas City up the top here, and then there's Redmondville here. And you can just see, look at that. That's what is that? Over 10 inches of rain, somewhere between 10 and 20 inches of rain in that center portion near Redmondville here. And you can see it stretches out. Even down here's got like between 4 to 6 inches of rain, even coming down to the border area down here. It's pretty severe. So I hope if anyone's out there and you listen to this show that you are doing okay. It looks pretty biblical. Pretty biblical. Guys, hold on a sec. All right. I don't know if it's crop fields. Danny said, anyone gonna watch the McGregor Holloway fight? No, I don't think I'm gonna watch that one. There's a fight coming up in a couple of weeks that I want to watch. It is the Tim Tszyu. Who's he fighting? I can't remember now. Who's he fighting? He's fighting someone. You'd hope so, anyway. Errol Spence versus Tim Tszyu. This is such a big fight. If you, I'll get back to the rainfall in a second, but Danny broke my thoughts with the boxing thing. If you want to watch a fight in the next couple of weeks, I would be watching the Tim Tszyu versus Errol Spence fight. And the reason I'd be watching it is I think it's on this weekend, right? I think it is. Yeah, let me check the times when it's on. Oh, no. It's in a couple of weekends. It's Saturday, the 25th of July. And then it's supposed to, if you're in British time, it's supposed to start around 2 a.m. British time. It's being held down here in Australia. So they're going to fight down here. But the reason this is such a big fight is Tim Tszyu was a challenger and a contender for like the last few years. Then he had a couple of really bad beats. He faced Fundora one time, and Fundora actually cut his head open with his elbow, and he was gushing blood all over the boxing ring. Ended up losing that fight. Ended up breaking Fundora's nose to the point where Fundora had to take a year off from boxing because of how bad his nose was broken. But he lost that fight. When Tim's head healed, he ended up going and fighting another guy, and that guy absolutely whooped him, demolished him in like 3 rounds. Then he took another rematch with Fundora and then lost that rematch too. So he piled up a bunch of losses, which was a really bad thing because if he had won the fight against Fundora the first time, he would have been a unified champion. So he would have had the chance. I think he would have got another belt and then had the chance to do a unification fight. So he would have been a really big deal had he won that fight. The fact that he lost the next like 3 fights basically almost ended his career. He's won the last couple. And if he wins this fight against Errol Spence, he'll be then back in the conversation for like a championship belt. He has to win this fight. If he doesn't win this fight, it's over. Like it's done. His career is finished. He won't get a second chance at a superstar fight like this. So, yeah, an American Errol Spence Jr. versus an Australian Tim Tszyu on the 25th of July in a couple of weeks. If you like your boxing, go and watch that. I think it'll be good. Woman of Steel said, how much are tickets there? I don't know. I ain't paying. I've got ways to watch it. Woman of Steel said, the new channel logo in the thumbnail, you like it? Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, so go watch that. Go watch that if you want to watch a boxing match. I don't think I'm going to watch, was it Conor McGregor? I don't think I want to watch that. How boring. Conor McGregor versus Holloway. Nah, think I'll pass on that. All right, let's go back. Yeah, so our poor friends in Missouri, it's terrible, man. Why? It's like every time we think we're getting through the year and it's going to be all okay, just something bad happens. So I hope everyone in Missouri is doing just fine. I hope you got out, got all your property, if you're flooded in, just gotta hope that they find you. So far, they've only reported one person missing, which is a absolute godsend. How there's only one person missing, I got no idea. When you see the amount of flooding over there, I don't know how there's only one person. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna see if we can go to KDSK. So here's a photo of Faith Gregory. She's the woman who is missing in the floodwaters. Here's a photo of her, and they're saying that she's 23 years old. She has been presumed to have been swept away. How sad. They're saying Faith Gregory is the only known person to still be missing at 3:30 a.m. Water from the rising Hoosier Creek in the unincorporated community of Davisville in southeastern Crawford County caused the collapse of a wall at the house Gregory and her boyfriend Logan lived off, and they lived off the highway, so it was just off the highway. They're saying Gregory and their dogs Gregory, Logan, and their 4 dogs were able to get into a green and tan kayak, and that the boyfriend, Logan, was able to make it out of the water, but Gregory and the dogs were swept away. One of the dogs was found alive 8 miles away from the couple's home, but 3 of the dogs and the woman have not been located. So they could be 8 miles away or more from their home. Here's a photo of what happened to their home. They said a wall got pushed out of the home. You can see that entire corner is missing from the home. It's gone. It's not there anymore. So that must be the wall that got pushed in by the water. You know, it always sad to me when you have these flooding events. You come back like a couple of days later, and yeah, there's water, but it's not a wall of water anymore. And you go, look at all the damage that it did, and all the people that are missing, and it's like just gone. It's not even there anymore. And now it's just the aftermath of what happened. So that is what is left of their property. I don't think that is savable. I don't think you can fix that. That house is going to have to be torn down. Look, you can see all the roof is coming off too. So look, it didn't look like the strongest home to begin with, but it's definitely not livable anymore. So if they can find her and the dogs, that would be really good. One of us said praying that they find her alive and her beloved pets. I know. So they found one dog, but they can't find the other 3 or her. That's amazing to me. So they found one dog alive, though. One dog was found. That gives me hope that she might be out there somewhere. Maybe out there. I don't know. They're saying here Gregory was wearing a tie-dye colored hoodie, pajama shorts, and muck boots when she was last seen hanging to the front of the kayak. Boats and divers from various agencies spent much of the day looking for her and the dogs. They're saying here that she is 4 feet 10 inches tall and weighs about 130 pounds. She also has a prominent scar to the left of her face. And they're saying they're asking anyone in that local community to kind of go out on their property and look for her. Look for her, look for the dogs. If you can find even the dogs, if they're alive or dead, it might give a clue to what happened to her. So, yeah, swept away in the floodwaters, unfortunately. Let's have a look. Gayla said maybe she, like me, and tried to say that's what it sounds like. It sounds like she tried to save the animals above her own life because she wouldn't get in the kayak. She didn't want to let go of the dogs. That's why she was outside of the kayak. Let's see. Yeah, it's brutal out there, guys. I feel like it was pretty quiet except for the earthquakes that we had, and now it feels like it's starting to go the other way. I'll keep you updated on on that. If they end up finding her or there's news about what happened to her, I will let you know. I will get that to you. All right, let's move on. We have so many stories to get through tonight. I have a couple of others. By the way, I don't get into the politics thing on this channel, but I find it pretty funny that Christy Noam is divorcing her husband. That's all I'm going to say about it. But I'm just going to say that felt like a long time coming. All right, let's move on. Okay. So we have a couple of other stories that I want to cover. And there's a couple of updates. By the way, the update last night about Courtney Brown, oh no, not Courtney Brown, Joanna Brown was one of the best things I've read on this channel in like half a year. So happy that they finally found someone who hurt that woman. It felt like it took a very long time. All right, let me see where my other links are. All right. What do you guys want to do? You guys want to read about I've got two. We can either read about I don't know if I want to do that one. So I've got one that is I got one about the OnlyFans model, Courtney Clenny, and I got some more details about what's going on in her murder trial. Or I do have one about a little boy, but I don't know if you guys want to hear about it. There is a story going around online about parents who duct taped their adopted son, who was 4 years old, duct taped him around the face, and then he died. But apparently now they are getting their just desserts. Maybe we're going to talk about that. His name was Skylar Wilson. I'm pretty sure when this first happened, we spoke about it on the channel. And I want to show you a photo of this cute little boy because he is adorable. Here's the little boy. He is a cutie. Look at that cute dinosaur jacket that he's got on. What a lovely child. And they're saying here, Joseph and Jody Wilson pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and child abuse-related charges. The couple was accused of performing exorcisms on Skylar and one of his siblings. Skylar was restrained face down on the floor with a bedsheet and duct taped for hours before his death. Where have we heard things about duct tape before? That's interesting. They're saying the North Carolina couple accused of performing the exorcisms on their adopted child will spend decades in prison after pleading guilty to the murder and abuse of their 4-year-old son, who was malnourished and restrained down on the floor with a bedsheet and duct tape hours before his death. The two people, Joseph Paul Wilson and Jody Ann Wilson, pleaded guilty on Wednesday, July 8 in Surrey County Superior Court to second-degree murder and child abuse-related charges in connection with the 2023 death of Skylar Wilson. They're saying they will both be sentenced to approximately 32 to 40 years in prison. Yay, well done. I am very happy with that. That is a good outcome. So if they get the maximum 40 years, Joseph Paul will be 85. Jody will be 82 before they could ever make parole. I am more than happy about that. Here is a photo of these sorry two individuals. This is from the Surrey County Sheriff's Office, and they look like freaks, both of them. You would do that to a child, duct tape them on the ground, not feed the kid, and cause his death because you duct tape his face. You deserve. I'm surprised they don't go to the chamber, that they're not going to the Sparky chamber. Warner Steele said duct tape has many wonderful uses. It can't help what psychopaths use it for. That is true. That is true. But these two are nasty individuals. So they're looking at here. So Joseph pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, felony, child abuse inflicting serious bodily injury, conspiracy to commit felony child abuse inflicting serious bodily injury. They accepted a plea agreement. So under the plea, he will be sentenced at the highest end of the aggravated range for the murder charge, and also 300 to 372 months, with a 125 to 162 month sentence on the child abuse charge, both of them running concurrently. He also received a consecutive 84 to 113 month on the conspiracy charge, for total effective sentence in the same roughly 32 to 40 year range. He also received a credit of 1,272 days for time served. That is brutal. Let me work that out. If it's 300, let's just do it at the highest end. 372 plus 125. No. 162 divided by 12. So the highest range of sentence that he can do is 44.5 years in jail. That is the highest he can serve. What about her? What does she get? So Jody Wilson pleaded guilty to the same charges, and okay, she got the same thing. 300 to 372 months on the murder charge, followed by a consecutive 84 to 113 month, and then she got 32 to 40 years total. She was also given credit for 1,272 days of time served. They are I mean, if it was up to me, I would let them go to the the spicy injection. If you do that to a child, someone you're supposed to be taking care of, and you do that to them, I think there's no helping you. There's really no helping you, in my opinion. Like, how can we say that you might be able to be redeemed? How is there any way that you could rehabilitate? I don't think there's any rehabilitation for these two. So I want to take you to WFMY News too. They had a little bit more detail from when it first came out, when there was a search warrant, and you'll see some of the details that they're talking about. Yeah, give me a sec. I'll take you out there.
In the death of a Mount Airy boy. Investigators say the adopted parents of 4-year-old Skylar Wilson are accused of restraining, isolating, and even performing exorcisms on him. WFMY News 2's Grace Holland uncovered the court documents detailing the horrific situation.
Joseph and Jody Wilson are facing murder charges in the death of 4-year-old Skylar Wilson. There's a stack of search warrants related to this case. The Surrey County Sheriff's Office and the SBI are looking for evidence at the home, workplaces, and Department of Social Services records relating to possible reports of abuse. This all started back on January 5th when Joseph Wilson called 911 reporting that Skylar was having a seizure. A Surrey County detective says a woman could be heard in the background saying, "It's my fault." EMS says the child wasn't breathing when they arrived, and he was taken to the ICU at Brenner Children's Hospital. He died days later. Doctors say the little boy's brain was injured by a lack of oxygen caused by some type of restriction. According to search warrants, hours before calling 911, Jody Wilson texted her husband saying something happened while swaddling Skylar. She also sent him a picture of him wrapped in a sheet face down on the floor. Duct tape held Skylar to the floor. Interviews revealed that former foster parents filed a report to DSS about a month before the child's death.
Hold on, I got a comment about that. So you tried to tell people it was from swaddling. Swaddling is where you wrap your child in a blanket or a type of material that is used for comfort. Duct tape to the floor is not that. Duct tape to the floor is not swaddling a child. That is like they got charged with, It is abuse. And then they took the child to the hospital and went, "Oh, we don't know why he's not breathing. Oh, we don't know why he's brain dead." Like, these people should, like, I don't even know why they got a parole date, to be honest. Like, in my opinion, like I said, they're not redeemable. You do that to a child, someone that you took into your home and promised to care for, you're the worst of the worst. There are very few people on this earth that are worse than you. The only people I can think of are, you know, people who do war crimes, people who commit crimes against animals, people who commit crimes against other children, and things like that. Like, it's just, you are the top 1%. Awful people. Tried to play it off as, "Oh, I was just trying to swaddle him." Okay, whatever.
Concerning the child and his siblings' well-being. She says Jody Wilson told her about the swaddling, food restriction, and exorcisms of the kids. Through the search warrants, investigators say they found wrist and ankle restraints and took lots of digital records from computers and phones, including home surveillance video that shows abuse prior to the date of the murder.
Well, there's one thing we can be thankful for, is that they are, you know what we love on this channel? We love dumb criminals, right? That's what we love on this channel, dumb criminals. And they had cameras that filmed it all. Congratulations, congratulations, well done. You get a clap. Well done. That is ridiculous. The fact that they filmed it all. I want to know more about the exorcism. What the hell is that about? Why are they performing that on a child? Bizarre. Why were you performing that on anyone? An exorcism. That is, what? I just don't get it. Hold on, I'm going to try to find more about what exactly that was. Was that the taping to the floor? What is that? Okay. It says here that the Wilsons were accused. Almost coughed into the mic. Sorry about that. The Wilsons were accused of performing exorcisms on Skylar and one of his siblings. The couple used disciplinary methods they learned from books about alternate parenting practices for adopted children. Get me the author's name, and I will beat them to death myself. You are horrid, horrid people if you write books. In your sole intention is that adopted children need alternate parenting practices. I'll do the work myself because I was an adopted child and I know what it's like to be in that situation. That is horrific just to hear that phrase. They're saying here, however, the investigation revealed that the practices used by the Wilsons exceeded the practices in the book by escalating to the use of duct tape and prolonged physical restrainment of Skylar. Yeah, well, it sounds like it. They're saying here, Joseph knew Skylar was restrained and had purchased duct tape and ace bandages earlier that day for the purpose of restraining him. When Joseph returned home from work for lunch and found Skylar restrained, he did not release the child and instead returned to work. Okay. They're saying after Jody eventually released Skylar and realized he was seriously injured, she messaged her husband, "Hurry home. I think I have hurt him," is what she messaged him. Joseph later called 911 and reported that Skylar was having a seizure. Yeah, seizure. Okay. And then in the background, like we heard in the video, that she was saying, Jody was saying, "It's all my fault." Well, at least she was honest that it was her fault. They are awful. So they're saying an autopsy determined that Skylar died from hypoxic ischemic brain injury, which is the normal word for that is brain dead. So hypoxic, we know that it means like lack of oxygen. Ischemic basically means dead. In a medical setting, that means dead. So basically, hypoxic ischemic, basically brain death. And they say caused by compressional and positional asphyxia resulting from prolonged physical restraint. Basically, they yeah, it's brutal. They're saying here also he was in a ketoacidosis from starvation as well. So they weren't feeding him, they were restraining him, and they basically caused his death by duct taping him and causing him to become hypoxic. It is brutal, brutal. There's so many foster carers that do this. Don't take the children then. Stop it. Just take a step back. You can go be horrible people somewhere else. Stop applying to be foster parents. Foster kids need good people. And I'm a big advocate of that because I went through the system myself. You need people who are very patient. You need people who understand it's not always going to be perfect. And you need people who are in it for the long haul, not for short-term answers, because it could take a decade to turn it around with a child like that. It's not going to be like in 2 weeks, you're going to be like happy families taking vacations and taking Christmas photos. It could take literally 10 years or more to ever get to a place of normality. And these parents who sign up for adoption and then treat the children horribly when they don't conform to, oh my God, the kid's not acting normal. Let's duct tape him to the ground. Like, you stop applying to be foster parents. Just leave it alone. Woman of Steel said the government money is just too attractive. I actually think that that's what it is. I think a lot of people get into it just for the paycheck. They're like, you know how we can make more money? Adopt a child. Like, it's ridiculous. Gail said he would. Yeah. You're gonna mix a cocktail? I'm sorry. Yeah, lack of oxygen. Basically brain dead. Basically brain dead is what it is. Pretty horrible. Pretty horrible death for that little boy. Look, they accepted the plea, which means normally when you accept a plea agreement, you normally invalidate your right to an appeal. So there's probably no chance that these two are going to appeal any of this. And about the only redeeming thing I have for either of them is that they accepted the plea agreement, that they knew that they had done something wrong and that they pleaded guilty. Like, I mean, it's a hell of a whack to be told you ain't going to get out of this prison. Most likely you will spend your entire life here, and they accepted the plea agreement. So if there's any tiny shred of redeeming factor here for these two, it's that they didn't put everyone through a trial and that they accepted their 32 to 40 years in jail. That's a long time. Like I said, Joseph Wilson will be somewhere between 75 and 85 by the time he gets out, and Jodie Ann will be between 72 and about 82 by the time. I don't know why she got less. That doesn't make sense to me. She was with the child in the home. She was the one who called 911. The dad, Joseph, was at work at the time. Yeah, he bought the duct tape and that, but Jodie Ann was in the home. And she is the one who admitted on the 911 call that that she hurt the child. So I'm confused why she got a lower sentence than him. I would have thought, being that the dad wasn't in the home during the actual death of the kid, that he might have got the lower sentence. Like, both of them are bad people, but just interesting that they threw the book a little harder at the husband than they did the wife. I don't know. I can't explain that to you about why they did that. Yeah, I'm going to take you out to, if I can take you out to WX 11. It's an NBC 12 channel. Yeah, I'll take you out here very briefly.
To breaking news now, a Mount Airy couple has been sentenced in the death of their adopted son.
Back in January of 2023, 4-year-old Skylar Wilson died of a brain injury. Today, Joseph and Jody Wilson pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and intentional child abuse. They were sentenced to 25 to 31 years on the second-degree murder charge and at least 7 years for the child abuse conviction.
There you go. We're gonna leave that one there. They can rot in piss. Enjoy your jail term, and they can F off to die in a jail cell. Hopefully, we never ever have to hear about them ever again. And it means that they'll never ever be able to hurt another child ever again either. Because one, they'll probably be dead before they ever make it out of that jail. And two, it would automatically mean they can never be around children ever again. What a great way to get yourself thrown in prison for the rest of your life. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. I hope that little boy is somewhere better. He deserves so much more than what they gave him. You know, I think the thing, every time I read these type of stories about these children, it's not the child's fault that they're in that situation. It's not their fault that they don't have parents. It's not their fault that they were given up for adoption. Yet every time I read these stories, the adoptive parents or the surrogate parents, whatever you want to call it, they always make it the child's problem. But that's not fair to a kid. The kid doesn't know why they're there. They're not old enough to have the reasoning in their head to figure out, I'm here because this happened and X, Y, and Z. All they know is they're in that's what's going on in their world. And as someone who has gone through it, I can tell you that it takes decades for you to reason and understand and break it down and compartmentalize it in your head and figure out a way of dealing with it. You can't do that at 4 years old. You don't have the mental capacity nor the life experience to be able to do what these people want. These people want you to be able to be an adult and to mentally deal with the situation and be okay. But a 4-year-old kid doesn't understand, and they always make it the child's problem every single time. And it's very frustrating to watch because I can't stand people who put adult mentalities onto a child, because it's like there's people in the world that are very dumb and they can't understand why a child can't think like an adult. Yet they know damn well that a child can't think like an adult can. It's very frustrating. Anyway, they can go, like I said, rot in piss in the friggin' jail, and hopefully we never have to hear about them ever again. All right. So we did that one last night. Okay, we can do this one. You guys want to hear about the OnlyFriends model? Let's go to something that's a bit more less serious. Let's go to Courtney Clenny, because this one's interesting. The OnlyFans model is asking a judge to allow a jury to consider text messages and other evidence that her attorneys say support her claim of self-defense. You guys remember this story? She allegedly stabbed her boyfriend in a Miami, Florida apartment. We've all seen the video, right? We've all seen the video from the body cam of the cop. Yeah, so now she's asking a jury to have more of a say into the evidence. This thing feels like it is dragging out forever. Here, I'll take you back to January 12th. I think it's January 12th, 2024 is when we got the video of it. So here, I'm going to take you out there and we'll watch. I think we can watch a little bit of it. Yeah, here. Yeah, watch a little bit of it here, and then it might refresh your memory.
Over for 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
From the repeated violent hits,
Yo, you're dumb as
to yelling hurtful words, Courtney Clenny is seen on this cell phone video unleashing a wild tirade against her then boyfriend, Christian Obumseli.
Actually, dumb.
Okay, fine.
Done. Done. Done.
She just consistently is this volatile and agitated individual when she's triggered. And we see Christian again being the victim.
With alcohol spotted in the background, the video was recorded in February of 2022 in Aspen, Colorado, just 2 months before the OnlyFans model would be arrested and charged with Christian's murder.
Christian is just calm, cool, collected. He tries to calm her down.
Kimberly Wald, an advocate for domestic violence victims, is representing Obumseli's family in an ongoing civil case.
He's a victim of domestic violence. It just substantiates all of the other evidence that we have in this case that he is victimized.
Clinty claimed self-defense in the bloody 2022 attack inside of the couple's luxury Miami condo, claiming she threw a knife at Obumseli during a feud for the fatal blow. Prosecutors and attorneys for the victim's family, though, don't buy that account.
So we have I know a lot of people know this case. It's been going on for multiple years here. The video is pretty damning. It really is. The fact that you can see in the video he's not retaliating to her at all. He's backing away from her. And I wonder if some of the commentary around this particular case has to do with the differences between men and women and DV in men. Like a lot of people automatically side with the women, and on this channel we do all the time. We side with women in DV cases like multiple times a week because the evidence is there to do so. But in this one, when you look at that crime scene, where is those photos? Did I miss it? Hold on. Oh yeah, here. You look at that, and there's the knife on the ground right there. Here, I'll take off the stupid thing there. There's the knife. She said she threw that knife at him. Why would you throw a knife at someone? Even if you are in an argument, and even if you did say that that's what you did, I don't think that precludes you from a murder charge or being held accountable for it. I still think it doesn't matter how that knife got there, as long as you admit that you threw it or had something to do with it. Look at what you did. Look at this. It's brutal. And that poor dude died. Like, you can see there's just blood everywhere over everything. So what is she asking for now? She's asking for that judge to allow a jury, like I said, a jury to consider text messages and other evidence that her attorneys say support her claim of self-defense. I don't know if it does, but they're saying here that she's awaiting trial in the fatal stabbing of her boyfriend, Christian. Her lawyers are asking that Florida judge to consider the other evidence. And they're saying it includes text messages, medical records, eyewitness testimony, security reports, police body cam footage, and other evidence they say documents the couple's relationship and supports her claim of self-defense. I don't know, guys. Do you think it supports a claim of self-defense? I mean, everyone's entitled to a defense in life and in court, and I am a firm believer of that. But I mean, we see footage from over a month earlier in that elevator of the way she's very explosive during arguments. Can you put that towards frame of mind? I don't know. I think it's an interesting case study. Like, she's obviously very violent towards him. Yeah, I've got a copy of the original one here. You guys can see the original video. So there's that elevator video that we've all seen before. She's beating the elevator. Like, you guys know that guy could absolutely beat the living hell out of that woman if he wanted to. He's a big dude. And he's not. He's like defending himself. Trying to get her to stop. It's pretty confronting video. It really is. She like a chihuahua, this woman. She like one of those angry chihuahuas that never stop. Yeah, so I don't know what you guys think. To me, it's delaying tactics. This trial seems like it's been pushed back about 500 times. They're saying here, when are we due back in court? Let me tell you when that is. Yeah, according to the attorneys representing Christian's family, they have rejected the self-defense claim, maintaining that the evidence does not support that theory, and that they assert that Christian is a victim of DV. I agree. I really think so, and I think by not taking Christian and his death seriously as DV, I think some people are being part of the problem in that when men suffer DV, it is being minimized, that it's not serious, and that, like I just said before, like he could have absolutely annihilated that woman if he wanted to, but it doesn't mean he's not suffering from DV either. It happens in a different way for men, and obviously she's very physical with him, but I'm guessing a lot of it is mental too. They're saying here in the motion that was filed, Clenny's attorneys argue the evidence paints a broader picture of what they describe as an abusive relationship. I don't think anyone doesn't contend that it was a toxic relationship. It very much seems so. The filing argues that jurors should hear testimony from 2 domestic violence experts alongside text messages and other evidence they contend corroborates her version of events. What do you guys think? Do you think the judge should allow the jury to hear this kind of evidence? I mean, I don't know. They're saying here, Clenny's attorney says the evidence would help support her planned battered spouse syndrome defense. That is the type of defense she is going for. Here, let's have a look. In Florida. Can you still run that defense in Florida? So apparently, yes, a lot of places around the world, you can't use that defense anymore. But you can in Florida. It says a battered spouse syndrome in Florida is a recognized psychological condition that Florida courts admit as evidence in criminal cases where a DV victim claims self-defense after using force against their abuser. Part of me says that they should allow the evidence if she has it, if it can pass the test in court that it relates to the case, the evidence is not contrived, and that it is a direct relation to what happened to Christian, and that it relates to her defense, then I think it should be allowed to be viewed by the jury. I think that they should have the whole story, but if it's a fishing expedition and that this is not like they can't pull it all together and make it cohesive, then just no. It shouldn't be allowed in just to muddy the water. So they're saying here the woman accused of killing her boyfriend by leaving him trapped. No, that's a different one. Sorry, I was reading a different story. That's Boone. That's a different story. It must have come up because she claimed the battered thing too. I don't know. That's my point of view. I think that if it does somehow relate to the offense against Christian, and that they can make a cohesive argument that it somehow does relate to the evidence overall, yeah, it should be allowed in. But if it's, like I said, if it's just there to muddy the water and to provide doubt when they can't tie it back to solid facts, like it's one thing to bring in some expert and be like, oh yes, these are all signs that she is a battered woman. You can pay an expert to say whatever you want in America. It happens in trials all over America. That's why you have a defense and the prosecution, and they often have their own experts that say the opposite thing, that there's never an agreement between them. So I don't know. I would want to see the evidence that she is putting before the judge to try and get it allowed. But we don't have it, unfortunately. We don't have it. I don't know. Here, I'm going to read some of your comments because I can't see you right now. Yeah, where are you guys? Pimp or partner? That's a good point. It's a good point. Serena said she has a spoiled brat vibe. She does a little bit. Serena said, was she spoiled by her parents? I mean, I mean, I don't know. I don't know her. I mean, I guess she might have that vibe about her. Robert said, reminds me of Sarah Boone. Yeah, when I googled the Florida battered spouse defense, Sarah Boone popped up. She had addiction issues, yes, and that might be part of the reason for these emotional outbursts that she is doing as well. Like, I am a proponent of the court hearing all evidence. If you do that, you will always get a stronger conviction. So if you end up with a conviction at the end and the jury finds in favor of the prosecution, you will always end up with a stronger conviction that way, because they can't come back later and say, "Oh, well, the jury didn't hear this evidence," or "The jury didn't know this." So I am a proponent of them knowing as much as possible. I just, yeah, because they won't show us what that evidence is, it's very hard to know. Like, they only gave us a description of it, basically saying that it would come from the form of text messages, medical records, eyewitness testimony, security reports, police body cam footage, and other evidence they say documents the couple's relationship and supports her self-defense claim. She filed that motion on Tuesday, a few days ago. So yeah, I don't know. You tell me what you think about it. No, that's not what I want. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can find more details on exactly what it is, other than just a brief outline. What does it say? Okay. The motion states that Clenny intends to testify at her trial regarding numerous specific instances of violent and abusive conduct. Clenny's defense said medical records and text messages will corroborate her account, which includes 4 shoulder dislocations and a cut to her finger that required stitches. The shoulder dislocation almost sounds like, to me, him trying to defend himself from her by grabbing her arm. And, like you see in that video how she often uses her arms to try and beat him. It almost like when he tries to grab her to stop her from hitting him, and that's how her shoulder has dislocated. Here, where is that footage? Oh, did I lose? Oh, it's here. Like, watch. See how she often, like, throws her upper body? And she's saying in her defense that her shoulder has been dislocated 4 times. But look at what she's doing. How would you defend yourself against that? I would figure you would probably grab her arms, right? And you see, even when he's got a hold of her arms, she's twisting and turning and throwing herself. I wouldn't be surprised if that is how her arm became dislocated several times over the years. Yeah, like, that's my opinion. Looking at, I know it's only one video, but if that's sort of the way she fights him on an ongoing basis, I think that's probably what happened. The cut to the finger is, it could be from anything. You could have been chopping vegetables and you slipped with the knife. Like, everyone's done that. So yeah, I don't care about that. Let's see. So according to a second motion filed by Cheney's defense, they seek to admit specific instances of alleged abuse during the couple's relationship. When first responders came to the house after Christian was stabbed, Clenny told officers that she acted in self-defense and that she threw the knife because she was scared. Come on. So when someone, say let's flip the story. A husband kills his wife and he's like, "Oh, that bitch was crazy. So I had to like subdue her and I suffocated her, I was trying to control her and I put my arm around her neck and like I must have had it there too long. I was acting in self-defense." Would anyone in the world believe that? No. No one would. So I don't know why we believe her when we've seen her attack him very violently. So I don't know if I believe her whole she threw the knife because she was scared. This woman doesn't look exactly like she's very afraid of him. When you watch that video, that doesn't seem like a woman who's afraid of what's coming next. I'm not saying that we should categorize all abused women in the same way, we shouldn't. But I would figure a woman who knows a right hook is coming would not be this over the top like this, because she would be very afraid that right is coming. And she doesn't seem afraid at all to hit him. Yeah, that's my opinion. Like, that's just from watching this. I would think that she doesn't look all that scared of a right hook coming her way. So I I don't know. I don't buy their claims in this particular filing. They're saying during her subsequent recorded interview, Courtney explained that Christian pinned her against the wall by her neck, causing her to be unable to breathe, and ultimately forced her to the ground where he continued restraining her with his hands around her neck. Courtney further advised detectives that this was the third time that he had pinned her by the neck, and that similar incidents had occurred twice before. I don't know, guys. Exhibit A, that video. I mean, I'm not advocating for anyone to ever hold a woman by the neck, but sh- I I mean, how do you want that guy to defend himself against her? They're saying while prosecutors have not yet filed any response to the filing, they're saying Christian's family has previously joined the state in portraying Clenny as the aggressor in the couple's volatile relationship. And they're saying in 2023, Christian's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against her and several parties connected to the apartment the couple shared. So yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see how that filing plans out in this particular one. Let's see. So just a little tidbit from an earlier court hearing in this. Clenny's defense team introduced a video into evidence, which was a video showing a man throwing knives at pig carcasses in an effort to illustrate what they believe happened inside that apartment. Okay. Are they I don't even know what to say to that. That's bizarre. Here's a pig, a guy throwing things at a pig. Gayla said, "Show me the marks." Yeah, I mean, show me why. Yeah, show me that. Chipmunk said, "Why did he pin you? To me, that's proof she's the violent one." Yeah, it almost sounds like to me that he was trying to defend himself against her, and that the only way he could get her off him was to pin her against the wall. Now, again, I don't want to advocate for men ever doing that to women, but it almost like you see how wily she is against him. Warner still said he was defending himself from the attacks. I definitely think so. I definitely think that is true. Warner still said, "You don't bury a knife in someone that way by throwing it. She wasn't a pro knife thrower, was she? She used all her force and buried that knife in him. She was the aggressor every time, I bet." Look, I'm not going to paint the picture that this guy never struck back or something like that. I'm sure he did. But I just think that there's some obvious giant gaps in her evidence that she's going to need to do a better job at convincing a jury, because I don't believe her story at all. Like, literally all the defense, I don't know if this is allowed in evidence, I've not checked, but I literally think all they have to do is show this freaking video. Literally, that's all they have to do is show this video to the jury. Anytime she brings up some claim about him being the violent one, just play this video to the jury. They will just wipe that out in a minute. Because I don't know about you, but this show, like, this video doesn't show to me a man who's being aggressive towards a woman. This shows a guy who's literally just trying to, like, diffuse the situation and get her to stop hitting him, basically. Like, he's like, "Stop hitting me, go away." Do we have audio? Audio. It'd be good to know what they were saying in that thing. Yeah, exactly. Swinova said, "Did she ever go to the ER with the injury?" She said yes. In this court filing, she said that she does have medical records about the shoulder dislocations and the finger cut. I don't believe the finger cut. The finger cut could be, like I said, from making dinner. I don't believe that. The shoulder dislocations could be something, but like you saw in that video, she's often reaching over and above to hit him. And all he has to do is push her arm back, like to try and get her away, and it could easily pop out her shoulder. Your shoulder's pretty weak, especially if you're not very strong in the arms. You could easily push too far and, dislocate a shoulder, especially if she's had it done before. If you dislocate your shoulder even one time, your shoulder, without repairing the labrum, can pop out like all the time. You can do it like literally like every week because that labrum is stretched and torn after you pop out that shoulder. So I've seen people that play basketball that have shoulder dislocations, and they'll just be like shooting a basketball and their shoulder will pop out. So yeah, I don't know about the claim that 4 times, but because that is pretty common afterwards. Let's see. They're also saying here that she also mistreated an animal, that there was a dog that had been locked in a kennel in the closet, and they said while food was present, there was no water. And they're saying that a veterinary pathologist determined that the dog's cause of death was dehydration secondary to water deprivation. So she killed an animal too, a dog. I wonder, do we have a photo of that knife? I wanted to have a look at it. Oh, they have they have the photo of that stupid video. So this was that video that they introduced to the evidence about the pig and the knife throwing. What's that got to do with the price of fish in Hong Kong? Like, what? You're like, yes, this is how we killed him. We were playing throw the knife at the pig. No, like, this doesn't explain anything. What an awful video to introduce to evidence. Bizarre. I mean, I get you're trying to explain it, but really weird. Missy said, it's very common occurrence in their relations. This is the way he always acts with her, I'm sure. I think you're right. And that's not to excuse. Sometimes there's toxic relationships where both sides are aggressive and they're both just as bad as each other. But it doesn't seem that way here. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, I agree with you. What? Whose dog was it? I believe it's her dog, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a while since I read that bit, but I believe it is her animal. Yeah, I'm just having a second look at it. I think it's her dog. Let's have a look. What? Hold on. Yeah, I'm just sorry. I'm just trying to find that quote. Let's have a look. Okay, I can't find it now. I think we went to too many pages deep in this. All right, I'm just going to try find if we can get a better update for this. No, I'm going to leave it. So that is your update. We'll see what happens with these court filings for it, and I'm going to leave it there. Ping is going to leave it there. So if we get an update to it, I'll bring it to you. Did you guys say a politician died? Who was the politician that died? Someone in the chat was saying a politician died. I'm trying to find what Gayla said. I can't find anything. You're saying a politician was murdered in where? The UK? Oh, yeah, I see it here. Man arrested on suspicion of murder of prominent ex-politician and Whitcomb? Okay. I don't remember this. When was she killed? Yeah, I'll show you a photo of her if I can get it. They're saying a 26-year-old man is being held on suspicion of murder following the death of a former MP and government minister. Is it Anne Whitcomb or Widdicombe? They're saying Friday. So she was 78 years old, former Conservative minister and Reform UK spokesperson, was found by police with serious injuries at her home in Hayter, a rural village of Dartmoor in Devon, about 11:40 British time. The incident is not being treated as terrorism after counter-terrorism policing was involved in initial inquiries. Okay. Let's have a look. Who would wanted to have hurt her? I'm gonna take you out to Sky News to have a look. Let's go to Sky News.
Anthony, always good to speak with you, and good morning to you. How will Anne Widdecombe be remembered?
Oh my goodness, she will be remembered as a phenomenal politician and as a very, very brave person who stood up for what she believed in, didn't care what people thought of her, took causes that were unpopular often. As someone who's just a very brave public servant, who had an indefatigable belief in her own self and her self-confidence and in the value of her views. I think she's done a great deal to bring people into politics and to show what the life of a politician can be.
And how would you sum up her political thrust, if you like? I mean, clearly her support of Brexit was key.
Yeah, that's sort of just explaining who she was, but they're saying here Anne was a former Conservative MP and minister who became a household name for a new generation after her memorable stint on Strictly Come Dancing. Okay. How did she die, though? Best known for... I don't want to know about her life. I want to know how she died. Like, I mean, her life is probably interesting, too. No, this is boring. I want to know how she died. Yeah, here. Abject terror of murdered Anne Widdecombe. Family shock as police arrest 26-year-old male after ex-MP is found covered in blood with a head wound at Dartmoor House. They're saying here that she was found covered in blood after being battered to death by a lone male attacker at her remote Devon home. Detectives last night were questioning a 26-year-old suspect over the killings. The white British man was held a few miles away in Newton Abbot hours after news of the murder investigation was made public. This only happened like 8 hours ago. They're saying police launched a manhunt when the former prisons minister was found with serious injuries at her Dartmoor home by a gardener on Thursday. Fears for her well-being were raised after she failed to turn up for a TV appearance. They're saying her family became worried when they were unable to raise her on the phone. Police were called about 11:40 a.m. on Thursday after the gardener discovered her body in the kitchen of a bungalow. They're saying last night, as officers were trying to establish the motive for the murder, a source close to the family said, "We're still in shock and disbelief. It was hard enough to find out we'd lost Anne, but we still have yet to come to terms with the fact that she died in such brutal circumstances." So did someone break into her home and murder her? Or was this someone known to her? Here, I'm going to show you the property if I can get this on the screen. So apparently this is her property right here. And then she was found in this back area. That looks like a greenhouse to me. I don't consider that like a bungalow, but that is what they're saying. Very nice home. So how would someone get in there without being known? I mean, I get she was an older woman. They're saying that in her late age she was quite frail. So maybe the guy literally just walked in there. Let's see. So someone battered her to death. Someone actually beat her. So who is the 26-year-old that hurt her? Let's see. So they found her with serious head injuries in the home, but also very bloody. And they're saying they're actively appealing for any CCTV or dashcam footage from the area, and that they're asking for people to come forward if you were driving through the area in the 24 hours surrounding her death to, yeah, if you've got dashcam or something like that. Bizarre, really bizarre why they would do this to I mean, we've seen people like, Donald Trump was shot at. Here, they got some footage here. Helicopter
What was
footage.
a quiet corner of Dartmoor National Park, now a major crime scene. As tributes poured in this morning to the former minister, behind the scenes there was a fast-paced police investigation. Initially, there were no suspicious circumstances, but by mid-afternoon, officers revealed they were treating the death of Anne Widdecombe as murder.
We can confirm that a 26-year-old man was arrested at an address in Newton Abbot this afternoon on suspicion of the murder of Anne Widdecombe. The suspect, who is a white British national, remains in police custody whilst inquiries continue.
She was found at her home on Thursday morning with serious injuries.
We can see there's still a significant police presence here outside Anne Widdecombe's home. We know that forensic officers are continuing their investigations inside the property.
So if she was still doing TV interviews and podcast interviews and things like that, she must have been seen the day before, because the second day she missed a TV interview. So it had to have happened in the 24 hours preceding that interview, because like they said, she was always busy and the family were calling her and she had interviews. So it has to have been within the 24 hours to Thursday when they found her body. That it's a very tight time frame. And how did they know it was a 26-year-old male down the street? Was there cameras in the home? Like, where did that come from? That's what I would like to know. Let me see if I can find anything else. They're saying they don't know whether it was politically motivated, but I would suspect it would have to be. Why else would you break into this woman's home and kill her? They're not saying there was a robbery angle. Not saying anything was stolen. Let's see. Man arrested on suspicion of murder. So they did get that guy. Let's have a look. This afternoon, police announced they had launched a murder inquiry into the death of Anne Widdecombe, 78-year-old former Conservative minister. And they're saying here They're saying the murder inquiry is in the early stages, but do not consider it a terrorist incident, and say no new information is available at this time to suggest it is politically motivated. It's a little. Could it just be like the local weirdo that broke into a home? Here's a photo of like the map of the home. So there's her home down here. Like you can see in this part of the country, everyone has pretty big properties. Like there are homes around, like you can see, but they're pretty spaced out. Look. Like that's her property there, and she does have a neighbor next door, but there are huge swaths of green open area. Pretty common in that part of the country. Very odd. Like it's such a rural location to like go and kill someone like this, and to do it to a. You would think if you were going to go attack like a politician or something, you would go and attack someone who was, instrumental right now. Like, why would you go attack this woman who's sort of like her time has come and gone and she's now retired? Like, why would you do that? The only thing I can think of is it's like the local, junkie or something that's broken in to look for money. Maybe she startled him and he beat her to death because he didn't want to be caught. Like, I don't see how this can be political motivated at almost 80. Like the guy's 26. He probably wasn't even around when she was, active. It's really bizarre offending. Let's have a look. Yeah, they're saying that last night, as officers were trying to establish a motive for the murder, a source said that they haven't been able to figure it out as of yet, that they're not sure why someone would do this. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why you would hurt someone like this. I don't know. Maybe you guys in the UK can tell me more about her, but I get that she was controversial, that she was a part of Reform UK, which is like a really sort of. Wasn't Reform UK like one of those? They were big in Brexit, right? The Brexit thing. So maybe someone had a hatred for that. They're saying the unmarried former MP who lived alone since her retirement in 2010 was last seen during an interview on Talk TV around 8 a.m. the previous day. She had been scheduled to appear on Jeremy Vine's Channel 5 show later that morning, but failed to appear. So, later that morning, the way they worded that doesn't sound right. Are they saying that she appeared on an interview at 8 a.m., but was due to be on another interview later that morning or the next day? Because if it's the same day, the time frame's like 2 hours. If it's the day before, it's about 24 hours. They're saying here her family became worried when they were unable to get her on the phone, so police were called around 11:40 a.m. on Thursday. What day was she supposed to be on Talk TV? Was last seen during the previous day? Okay, so Wednesday? No, they're saying the same day. So she had an interview at 8 a.m. and then she was supposed to be on another interview a couple of hours later, and then they couldn't get her on the phone, so someone called at 11:40 that morning. Yeah, the time frame is very tight, like 2 hours. It's pretty cool. It's not pretty cool. I mean, it's very, very short. You've got like a 2-hour gap between when she was last on an interview and when she was due onto another interview. And then sometime between then, she was killed. Gail said her politics weren't for me, but she was very spirited, a no-nonsense woman. Okay. Yeah, I can't say I ever heard of her. Like, I know a little bit about UK politics and who the main players are, but I don't know her. I can't remember ever hearing about her either. Um, wow, very sad. I don't know what to tell you except for hopefully we can hopefully we can get a better idea when they tell us who they arrested, but apparently they haven't given out the name of the 26-year-old man who they arrested. Like, how did you find him so quickly? That's the other question I have. How did you know to go look? So apparently the place where they arrested the suspect was not even close. It's in Newton Abbot, which is about half an hour away. It's not close to Dartmoor. It's sort of further towards the coast. So it's not even that close. What is it, about what, like 15 miles? Something like that between her home and Newton Abbot? 15 miles? 15, 20 miles? It's not that far, but it's not nearby either. So that's the question. How did they know to go to that home and arrest him? Let's have a look. Yeah. So apparently Cornwall police did put out a statement. Okay, what do they say? They're saying here, according to Assistant Chief Constable Matt Longman, said, we can confirm that a 26-year-old man was arrested at an address in Newton Abbot this afternoon on suspicion of murder. The suspect, who is a white British national, remains in police custody while inquiries continue. They're saying here, detectives from the 4th Major Crime Investigation Team have launched a murder investigation and are conducting extensive inquiries into the circumstances surrounding her death. A cordon remains in place while the officers do their work at the property. And yeah, they just said they're appealing for any information. Yeah, they've got an update here. I'll play it for you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Oh, that didn't work. Hold on, guys.
I'm Assistant Chief Constable Matt Longman here at Devon and Cornwall Police, and I'd like to read you this short statement now on the whereabouts today. We can confirm that a 26-year-old man was arrested at an address in Newton Abbot this afternoon on suspicion of the murder of Anne Widdicombe. The suspect, who is a white British national, remains in police custody whilst inquiries will continue. Officers were called to Miss Widdicombe's home at Haytor by the ambulance service around 11:40 a.m. on Thursday, the 9th of July. Sadly, 78-year-old Miss Widdicombe was located deceased within the property. She has sustained serious injuries. Her next of kin have been informed and are being supported by specially trained officers. Detectives from the 4th Major Crime Investigation Team have launched a murder investigation and are conducting extensive inquiries into the circumstances surrounding Miss Widdicombe's death. While we work closely with our partners and have consulted counter-terrorism policing as part of our initial inquiries, the incident is not being treated as terrorism. A cordon remains in place at the property while specialist officers continue forensic examinations.
I'm confused how this went for like 8 hours. Not 8 hours, but like 5 minutes. Basically, it was like one of those press conferences where they're like, we have nothing to tell you. We're going to talk for 5 minutes and tell you exactly nothing. We're going to just make up a lot of words and talk to you about nothing. Look, it keeps going. What are they saying here? Yeah. Yeah, listen to this bit.
Any ongoing risk, but we know that the presence of our officers, just to make people know we're there, be available to give advice, etc., will be around. So you can expect an increased presence throughout the weekend.
Was the 26-year-old man arrested locally or was he outside the force area?
So the person they have in custody has been arrested within the force area.
Was there any struggle when he was arrested?
Oh, I'm not going to go any further details about our operational activity today.
What?
I'll take two more.
Sorry, was he known to you at all? This
Again, inappropriate to comment, I think, on the individual facts of the case at this stage of it. Thank you.
Any signs that anything was stolen from the property? Was the property broken into? Were you seeing it as a burglary gone wrong?
So all the things that we need to work on throughout the investigation. And the key thing, I think, for us is obviously.
Okay, so basically, every time the media asks a question, they're not going to tell anything. So they tried to work around it. You saw the media guys trying to dig some information out of the guy. Was there a break-in? Was it burglary? Did you arrest him? Was there a fight when you arrested him? But like they just weren't going to give anything at all. Yeah, it could be money. You guys might be right. Yeah, no comment. That's basically what it was. It's a no comment 5-minute video. So yeah, it's all they're willing to confirm right now is that a 26-year-old white British national has been taken into custody but has not been charged. So in the UK works a little bit differently to say Australia or yeah, so they work in a sort of different way. In the UK, it works differently to Australia and the US. When someone is taken into custody, one of two things can happen. You can be charged with a crime. You can also be held for a longer period of time. I think it's up to 72 hours that you can be held for, but they can also request an extension of that timeline, but they have to show the judge why they need more time. There's a third option, which is you can be released on bail. But the way bail works in the UK is different to the way it works in, say, the USA or Australia. When they say someone has been released on bail in the UK, the core of it sort of works the same. You are being released on a promise to come back if they ask you to. It's sort of the same, but the way it's applied in the UK is different. It basically means that the cops are keeping their eye on you. They think you might be involved in this crime, but they don't have enough evidence to hold you. So they release you on bail pending further inquiries. And what that basically means is, yeah, they could come back in like 2 days with more evidence and then just take you into custody. Normally it comes with requirements like you have to be at a certain address, that you can't leave that address, you have to report to them. It sort of works like it does in Australia, but the way they just apply it is just a little bit different, and it means something slightly different. In Australia, when you're released on bail, it's only after you have been charged with a crime. But yeah, in the UK, you don't have to be charged with a crime to be let go on bail. So yeah, it just works the way it works is just a little bit different. Gail said sometimes need to report back to the police daily. Yeah, even if you haven't been charged with anything. So in Australia, the bail is only after you've been charged, but in the UK, they can use this bail to keep an eye on a suspect if they think, okay, this person might be involved, but we don't have the evidence to charge them with a crime, and we can't hold them for any more time. So you see that quite common in the UK. People get released on bail like pretty frequently in investigations. So that may happen here. This guy possibly could get released on bail, and then we won't hear any more for a week or two. We'll have to wait and see, because they're saying right now detectives are questioning him, but there's been no charges, or if there are charges laid, they're not public right now. I'm just trying to see if there is a better update. Hold on. Yeah, no new update. The last update was at 5:40 British time, and that was that update that I just brought you, basically saying that they arrested that guy. No name, no charges as of yet. So, yeah, well, interesting story. Thanks for letting me know. It did not come up on my news in Australia for some reason. Did not come up here, which is weird. So, okay. Huh. You guys remember that story we spoke about the other day? The one about the cannibalism mum? The one where she's accused of killing her 4-year-old boy uh, in in New South Wales. They're saying here apparently a lot of family are very like dumbfounded that their relative has been arrested for killing their 4-year-old child. New update from Candace Sutton at the Mail is saying the woman's brother admitted to the Daily Mail this week that their father and an older half brother had agonized over whether they could have stepped in to help the accused mother. They thought that maybe they should have done something more, noticing that there were signs of instability in her life when she recently ditched her supermarket job. When she gave up her job at Coles, that says a lot, doesn't it? When someone gives up their job. So apparently she used to work at Coles. And they're saying, according to the woman's great aunt, they're saying, I remember her as a little girl, but she had problems later on. There you go. One of the accused mum's last neighbors in Gunnedah says that the accused woman seemed like a nice girl, but my husband thought she was into drugs. She had a couple of fellas over who were then taken away by ambulance, and she seemed to always be going walkabout from the house. I'm so sad to hear what has happened. There you go. So, yeah, so a lot of they're saying here a lot of family members not understanding why this little boy died and if they could have done more to save him. And then they're saying here, according to new court documents, police allege the mother killed her son between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. on July 4 last weekend. She's been charged with murder and appeared in court last Saturday when bail was formally refused. Her case is due back in Wyong local court on September 1. So if you guys have been keeping up with that, that case of the cannibal mom, that is the latest update that her court case is due back on September 1. And we'll have to wait and see if we get more information. A very sad story that this little boy died. And they're saying the mother walked into a police station in Wyong on the state's central coast about 4:40 p.m. on Saturday, July 4, and then reported the death of her son. And they're saying she also made comments about eating his arm. Eating your own son's arm. Brutal. Yeah, I don't know why. Anyway, that's your latest update with that, apparently, according to the Mail. They are now saying that we won't find out any more until September 1. So we'll see what happens then. Let's see. What else did we have to catch up on this Friday night with you guys? What else did we have to catch up on? We got stories everywhere, guys. I got stories coming out of my butt lately. There's yeah, we got a lot of different things happening. What is this? Let me have a look. Hi, that's a good update actually. I didn't see this, but someone just emailed it to me. Larry Millett. Remember we told you about the Millett case about Mayor? You remember we were telling you about the spellcasters and how he was very possessive of her after she wanted to divorce him. Apparently, he was found guilty on Thursday, July 9. That is great news. I'm very happy about that. The only thing that could be better than Larry Millett being found guilty is, where is Maya? Where is her body? I think that's the final thing that we'd all love to know. Where is her body? I'll take you out for a small update on this because we covered it a couple of weeks ago. Take you out to CBS 8 in San Diego.
No verdict can erase the pain of losing May or the years of uncertainty that I've endured. But we hope today's outcome provides a measure of justice and accountability.
Justice probably have been served today, but we still have my sister out there. We still have the second step to go through. We still have to bring my sister home.
She is still out there. She is still missing. And we are going to work tirelessly to continue looking for her and try to find her and bring her home.
The 5.5-year saga of missing Chula Vista mother Maya Miliete reaches its dramatic conclusion in a South Bay courtroom as jurors find her husband, Larry Miliete, guilty of first-degree murder. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto. It took jurors only 6 hours of deliberations after an 8-week trial to return that verdict, unanimously declaring Larry killed his wife, the mother of his 3 children, and hid her body, which to this day has not been found. We have complete coverage of today's verdict, starting with a full account from News 8's Richard Allen, live at the South Bay Courthouse. Richard.
Well, Carlo, it was an intensely emotional day in court today. Following the verdict, cheers and applause erupted in the courthouse behind me here. While prosecutors say a measure of justice has been served, they also point out that today's decision does not bring the full closure that Maya's loved ones are still searching for.
No verdict can erase the pain of losing May or the years of uncertainty that I've endured. But we hope today's outcome provides a measure.
It's sad to me. Like they were saying, where is her body? And, Larry's never going to give it up. He's never going to tell. If he hasn't told in the 5 years to now, I don't think he's ever going to tell. And it troubles me. I know our countries like Australia and the US are very big, very vast, but how is there's bodies? It freaks me out that we could go bushwalking, go out hiking or something, and we could stumble across like someone's body like this. Like I think they think in this particular one, I can't remember if they thought he put her in the garbage or not. I have a weird feeling that that is part of it, but maybe not. But look, if he hasn't given up where she is till now, I don't think that he's going to. Do you? I personally don't think so. I think that if he was going to give up where he dumped her body, he would have already said so. Now, we did hear about a piece of land where they found her ID. So they found a piece of her ID out to a place where Larry actually drove, and they have that with digital evidence, but they only found the ID. They never found her. And I think very, 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 very sad that there's people out there that we just can't find. So apparently they had 3 children together, and now you're missing the husband. He's gone to jail, and the mom has been killed. So there's 3 kids out there who will never know their mom, and their dad, they probably don't want to know. It's awful. They're saying here, the jury rejected the lower charges and convicted him of the highest charge, premeditated murder. He faces a penalty of 25 years to life. Good work, jury. Good work. That is the correct finding. They're saying here, attorneys argued the case lacked a crime scene, forensic evidence, or a weapon. You don't need any of those things in a circumstantial case. All you have to do is provide the jury with enough evidence that something had happened. You don't have to have any of those things. Yeah, look, very, very sad. I hope that they eventually find her. I I don't know if they will, but the fact the jury deliberated for less than 1 day gives me hope that it was a strong case, a strong trial, and his defense meant nothing. All we have to do now is find her. That is a big deal, and I hope they do. Here's a nice photo of her. I hope they find her. She deserves to go home to her family. Yeah, he's an evil piece of work. He even hired spellcasters to make sure they could stay together. What a dork. Uh, he's so desperate to keep her, even after he finds out that she had been seeing another male, that he's like, how can I hire a witchcraft to make magic spells to make Maya love me again? Buddy, if you're already at the point where she's off having sex with other men and she doesn't want to be around you, I don't think magic is gonna fix it. Mrs. Ping, do you think magic will fix that type of thing? Yeah, Mrs. Ping says no. Mrs. Ping says magic cannot fix that problem. Not unless you're Doctor Strange from the Marvel universe. Maybe then, yes. But in our reality, no. It does not work. So that guy heading to jail, hopefully for life. Hopefully the sentencing range will be life in jail. Can you believe that he rejected a plea agreement that was only 25 years in jail? What an arrogant asshole. He rejected a plea agreement that would have seen him serve only 25 years in jail for an early guilty plea. Instead, he took it to a 7-week trial, and the jury delivered a unanimous verdict at the highest charge, meaning, yeah, most likely he could be seeing life in jail. What a dumbass. What not a very clever guy. They're saying a sentencing date has not yet been finalized. The court are saying they must first address a separate unresolved weapons possessions charge, which Larry opted to handle via a bench trial scheduled for a status hearing on the 20th of July in a couple of weeks' time. Guys, hold on a second. All right. Hey, all right. Sorry about that. Yeah, what it is a bit of a joke. Yeah. Never found her. Never found her, unfortunately. He is a very evil man. Very evil guy. Kerry Whelan? Yeah, Kerry. I don't think we've ever done Kerry Whelan on this channel, Sean. Maybe one day we will. Maybe one day we'll do a show on Kerry Whelan. Kerry Whelan was like a little bit before my time. A little bit before my time. I was only a young guy living in Parramatta when Kerry Whelan went missing. If you guys don't know who Kerry Whelan is, here, I'll show you. So Kerry Whelan is a missing person that was never found. They believe most likely. Here's a photo of her. They believe most likely she was killed. So Kerry Whelan, 39, was last seen exiting the Park Royal Hotel in Parramatta at 9:38 a.m. on May 6, 1997. So I actually lived in Parramatta at this time when Kerry Whelan went missing. And I remember all the news coverage on TV as a young kid. I remember her photo was all over the news. I remember seeing all the police cars in Parramatta, especially down near Church Street. There was a ton of police all searching for this woman. And they're saying here that the man they believe was responsible for her death they're saying in 2006, a man was convicted of Kerry's murder and was sentenced to life in prison. However, he died in 2016 without ever revealing where Kerry's body was. All that of also another missing woman called Dottie Davis. And then he was also convicted of killing Dottie as well. And yeah, it's a crazy case that involves a ransom letter, a missing woman, fake information, multiple properties. It's really a very twisted case. But yeah, they never ever located what happened to Kerry Whelan. I'm not sure what the theory of what they thought it was. I think they think she's buried out on a property somewhere, like somewhere in the Hawkesbury River region. I think that's the last thing I ever remember is that they think he might have put her on some rural property out there and they just haven't figured out exactly what property it is. Yeah, but this guy ended up being convicted of her death, but died about 10 years ago, never giving up the secrets to what happened to Kerry. Isn't that strange? These killers don't give up that information. So I suspect, like the one we just heard about in the US, he won't give up the location of Maya either. Look at this guy. This guy kept the secret from 1997 all the way to his death 30 years later. And he never told anyone. Even though he had been convicted of her death, sentenced, knew he was never getting out of jail, yet still never gave up where Kerry's body was located. So I expect this guy to do exactly the same thing. It's the last piece of control that they have, the last thing that they can damage everyone with, and they don't ever give it up. So Larry, I don't think he's never going to help find Maya. So the authorities are going to have to find it. Hopefully they can. Yeah. Timu got you? Hey, Jules, how are you? Yeah, well, it would be. What would it be? 29 years? So next year will be the 30th anniversary of Kerry Whelan going missing. Yeah, they still don't know what happened to her. Never been on there on Temu. Do you guys want to know a story about Temu just for a second? Not Temu. No, Temu. So I bought one thing off Temu one time, and a month later, my credit card was, like I had charges on my credit card that were like fraudulent. Happened at like 4 a.m. in the morning for some fancy watch store online, and Ping doesn't wear a watch. I wear a like a Fitbit on my arm, but I don't wear a watch, and I don't even own a watch. And yeah, it came in at like 4 a.m. in the morning. They tried to charge like $5,000 to my credit card. Anyway, my bank stopped it, but I had to like get a new credit card. Temu is not secure. Never ever put your credit card on Temu. If you don't believe me, research online and say, like, after buying on Temu, my credit card was compromised. And look at all the people posting that said after they bought on Temu, their credit cards had fraudulent money on it, like fraudulent charges. Look it up. A lot of people believe that the Temu payment processor is corrupt, that there's a back door to it where people can take the credit card details and steal them. Because in my 30 years on the internet and buying things online, I have never ever had a fraudulent charge on my credit card except that one time after buying from Temu. Never had one before. I had one for something else, but not for buying online. That's the only time I've ever had it. So if you're interested in Temu, use a PayPal account, something like that, where it's more protected, like they can't draw money from it. Don't ever put your credit card directly into Temu. You will end up with a fraudulent charge on your credit card, I guarantee it. So that's my story. That's why I don't use Temu anymore. And yeah. Kelly said, I ordered from there once before. I read about the credit card issue a few years ago. Yeah, it's a big issue, Ping. Yeah, it happened to me. It happened to me. My credit card had a fraudulent charge like a week or two after buying on Temu. So yeah, there's some back door into their website. Kelly said, this is also why when I buy from certain websites, I use my very low 500 limit credit card, not my bigger ones. Your bigger ones. Tell us more about that, Kelly J. Okay, tell us more about the bigger ones. No, I'm just kidding. Robert said, all these cheap Chinese Amazon type companies are really fake and bad. If I can buy it locally, I do. But if I can't, I don't have, you know, I don't have a choice. Jules said, thanks for the info. I use my PayPal. Yeah, keep using the PayPal. That way it won't be, your credit card won't get out there and corrupted. Kim said, my husband has ordered from them though. Okay, just be careful with your credit card on there. Gayla said, I own them, but I can't wear them. They don't tell the time on me. What? Are you saying that you have a Fitbit, but they don't tell you the time? Like you live in some sort of time portal where time can't be told to you. Wait, what? I own them but can't wear them. They don't tell the time on me. Sure, I believe you. Sean said, why is my account drained after teaming? I think you buy too many sex toys, Sean. You're like, that one looks good. That one looks like Pamela Anderson. Let me buy 10 of those. That's what happens. And that's why Sean's always got a drain credit card afterwards. Sean said, watches are just fashion accessories these days. I don't own a watch. I don't own any. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, it's good news about Larry Millete. That's great news. I'm glad he's going away for a long time. Screw that guy. That trial was brutal. To hear like the things that he put her through in the final days of her life, it's like, let her go, bro. Let her go. Like, she ain't coming back. Just let her go. It's crazy to me. Like, he had told her, I want a divorce. I'm filing for a divorce. I want you to leave. I want to get my own house. I want to get my own job. I want to move away. I want to, like, she told him like a million times, like, I'm done. I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, she told him in no uncertain terms that she was done and that she would like to move on, that she would like to date other people. And this guy just never got it through his head that their relationship was finished. To him, he always thought there was a way to save it. But people, not even Maya, but like family, were telling him it's over. She does not want to be with you anymore. Like, not even 1%, not even 0.5%. She's finished. Like, she wants to move on. And he just couldn't accept it. And that is why she is dead and buried or gone today, because he could just not accept that his childhood sweetheart didn't want him anymore. So, another woman killed over wanting to leave a relationship. But look, he'll spend probably the rest of his life in jail, and hopefully we'll never have to hear about Larry Millete ever again. The only time I want to hear his name is when they find where Maya is. That's it. It's the only other time I want to hear about him. All right. Think I got one more story for tonight. Let me see if I can find it for you. There's an update on a young girl, and I want to hold on. Yes. a young girl. Sorry, I had a weird thing. I was like, is it a girl? No, it is. There was a young girl called Javiah Harris, and there was an update today from the sheriff, and I want to play it for you. I want you to hear this about the remains they found that are believed to be this little girl. Okay, I'm going to take you out to WXTX.
Good morning. I'm Marty Sawyer, and I'm the sheriff in Aiken County. Thank you for being here today, especially the citizens of Aiken that's come in. Thank you for being here. And I'm here to provide an update on the investigation that we've been investigating the death of 4-year-old Javiah Harris. These updates never get easier to share. This past week has been heart-wrenching for everyone, but we've seen an outpouring of support in Aiken County and a massive joint law enforcement effort to search for and now to seek justice for Javiah Harris. Personally, there's some very harsh words that I would like to use about Jamaria and Michaela and their actions. But I will not do that. And I will not do that to protect and maintain the integrity of this case. But I will tell you this. I will not refer to them as mom and dad or mother or father. They don't deserve that title. I stand before you saying this is one of the most difficult, deeply disturbing, and emotionally taxing investigations this office has ever worked, and it's weighed heavily on the sheriff's office, all these other law enforcement agencies, all these people behind me that's worked tirelessly to bring this to an end, and it's weighed heavily on our community. I am truly sickened to share what this investigation has uncovered. From the moment Javiah was reported missing, the sheriff's office, as well as our law enforcement partners and first responders, we responded with urgency, determination, and compassion. What started as an exhaustive and complex search quickly grew to something that I would have never imagined.
This guy talks slower than my Uncle Sam, who talks slower than this guy. I think I can tell you about it faster than he can. So it's just like the slowest talking, and I get it's a very serious topic, but I think I can explain it to you a little faster, okay? So she was a 4-year-old girl from Aiken County, South Carolina, who became the subject of a major homicide investigation in July of 2026 after her parents falsely reported her missing. But that's not the worst part of this. So let me tell you a little bit about the timeline. On the 30th of June 2026, her mother, 22-year-old Michelle A. Herring, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, contacted emergency services to report that she had vanished while playing near a chicken coop outside their Aiken home. Then in early July 2026, a massive multi-agency search effort, including the FBI, scoured over 5,000 acres using helicopters, drones, and canine units. On July 4, authorities shifted the investigation from a missing person rescue to a homicide investigation. Investigators determined that Javiah had actually been dead for at least a month before emergency services were notified. Following the timeline shift, her parents were arrested, and according to law enforcement arrest warrants, the parents confessed to their roles in the death and the cover-up. Warrants allege that Javiah suffered a severe head injury resulting from physical abuse by the mother. Both parents failed to seek any medical treatment for her injuries, which ultimately caused her death. On the night that Javea was reported missing, the mum, who was 39 weeks pregnant, gave birth to another baby girl. That infant was subsequently placed into custody of an extended family member through the Department of Social Services. On July 9, the Aiken County Sheriff held an emotional press conference, that's where we're going to go back to that in a minute. During this press conference, he talks about how the parents admit to using corrosive chemicals and tools to accelerate the destruction and the dissolution of the child's body. They subsequently poured the remaining liquefied remains into the Cedar Creek Reservoir in Fairfield County, South Carolina. DNA analysis by SLED confirmed that partial human remains recovered from the reservoir belonged to Javea. And they're saying that the sheriff stated that due to the nature of the destruction of her remains, it is highly unlikely the entirety of her remains will ever be fully recovered. So they basically used hydro. Now I can't remember the name. We were talking about it last night. Mrs. Ping, what's that chemical? Yeah, hydrochloric acid, right? Must have been, because that's the only stuff that can do it. It's brutal. So I want to take you a bit further into the press conference here.
These remains were immediately sent to the state. Understand that I cannot discuss all the specific details in this case. But at this time, I can share that a few human remains were recovered in an area known as Cedar Creek Reservoir, also known as Stumpy Pond in Fairfield County. These remains were immediately sent to the State Law Enforcement Division, and through analysis, the DNA of the remains are consistent with being the biological offspring of Jamaria and Michaela.
I feel like they're all like, who told the train guy to come through right now while we're holding a press conference? Everyone's like, can we get that guy to shut up? Can we get him to stop the beeping? It's like, how is it right now when we're having a press conference, not some other time of the day?
Also share with you that through forensic evidence, statements, and analysis, extensive and deliberate efforts were made to destroy and conceal evidence following Javea's death. Our information reveals the use of corrosive chemicals and other tools that were used to accelerate the destruction of her little body. After this was completed, these two individuals poured what remains were left of Javea into the Cedar Creek Reservoir. These subjects went through great lengths to cover their repulsive and revolting actions. In my 37-year career in law enforcement, I have never, ever heard of anything so horrific. As a result of this information, it's unlikely that the entirety of Javea's body or any other remains from this point forward will be recovered.
That's really sad that the rest of this little girl will probably never be recovered. I think it's just due to the degradation of the remains and how small they are. Once you get it into a waterway, the chances of finding anything more than what they've already got is just not going to happen. It's really, really horrific. These people just we talk about people who deserve the Sparky chamber. Yeah, these people deserve it. Both adults are currently being held without bond. They face several criminal charges, including homicide by CA and the destruction and desecration of human remains. The homicide charge carries a statutory penalty of 20 years to life in prison in South Carolina. Herring faces an additional charge for filing a false police report. Their initial court appearance is scheduled for 18th of September 2026. So we've got a while to go until we get to that next court appearance, unfortunately. And they're saying here, the tragedy has sparked immense grief across South Carolina, prompting communities to hold multiple candlelight vigils where attendees wore pink and brought Minnie Mouse items to honor the memory of the little girl. Local advocates have also initiated petitions proposing a Javia's law to enact stricter protections for children against severe abuse. Yeah, I think that would be a great law for South Carolina and that county. These two people, how could you do that to your own child, but also be pregnant with another child that you gave birth to while your first baby was missing after you knew what you'd done to her? You knew that she had been put into corrosive liquids and liquefied, yet you're still willing to pop out another child. The woman is like a baby factory. That's basically what it is. Oh, we don't care if we kill one because I'll just fuck and birth another one. That's basically how they treat it. Oh, we killed one. Who cares? Fuck me and I will have another one. Like they just treat it like it's a commodity, not an actual life. They deserve everything they get. Lock them away. You know, I'm not always in favor of sterilization of people, but there might be a good case for it here with these two, both of them. They should never be allowed to bring more children into this world, either of them. They've both shown a propensity to do the worst of the worst in humanity. Yeah, there's the both of them right there. That they would allow a child to be placed in, hydrochloric acid is just, ugh. You know, it's funny to me though. We talk about dumb criminals on this channel. These people are dumb because they were found because the remains were still able to some remains were still able to be identified even after being liquefied because of the acid that they used, but also they poured it into a creek and there was still some remains. People don't get that, yeah, you can pour hydrochloric acid onto human remains, but it won't get rid of everything. And if you want to do that, there are ways to do that. I don't want to give anyone an instruction manual, but there are ways to do that with that same chemical. There's just more steps involved. I don't want to give anyone a blueprint to dissolving a human, but there are ways to do it. And every time someone tries this way of, whether it's an adult or a child, they get it wrong. And it's like they can't even be bothered to research the chemistry involved to do what they want to do. It's good for us because it means they always tend to get caught. But yeah, dumb criminals. Dumb criminals. Gail said, need to grind the bones. There's a way of doing it that you don't even need to do that. Again, I don't want to be an instruction manual for murderers, but there's ways of amplifying the effect. Chipmunk said, she is an absolutely cute child too. I don't know how you get used to the child and have a bond, then do that to them. Yes. Kelly said they probably couldn't even understand if they did the research thing. Well, that is probably true. Yeah, so here, let me show you a photo of the little girl. She's so beautiful. Where's Javaya? Yeah. Yeah. What a cute little girl. She's got like a little Nike top on and a little Minnie Mouse purse or a crossover bag. And she's got like really pretty hair, like such an adorable little kid, man. And her last moments on life in this world were horrific. Basically beaten to death and then dissolved in liquid. Just gross, really gross. And not even at the hands of a stranger, at the hands of our own family. Yeah, bad people. Hey, Bengal. Did you see the story of a toddler being found alive in a morgue in the US? Yeah, we did it last week. You may not have been here, my friend. But yes, we did do one last week. Kelly said, I'll never understand it. Kids are so pure and innocent, vulnerable. How could you ever hurt one in any way? I don't get it. I don't get it. Kelly said, I think sterilization should be a thing if you'll get convicted of a child. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I do. Yeah, I like the photo, right? What a pretty photo of her. Let's see what happens with the campaign to get a law named after her, which would protect other children in the future. I hope so. That would be a great legacy, so people don't forget her. And I think, I'm actually somewhat against naming laws after children. And you might go, Ping, that's a really weird thing to say. Why would you say that? And it's because it gets confusing. And with so many children that are killed, which it shouldn't happen, but it does, with so many young people and children that are killed, we can't go naming every law after them. Otherwise, we'll have the Jenny Biox law and the Danny Lilo law or whatever. Like you'll have like 5,000 of them across the US, and it'll actually take away from the power of naming these laws against victims of especially heinous and atrocious crimes. If we just keep naming laws after people, it'll diminish that effect of why we started doing it in the first place. And but in this particular case, I'm actually for it, and I think that since South Carolina doesn't have that law already, I think it would be a good one to bring in on behalf of her. So I think it'd be a good legacy for Javaya. But yeah, normally I'm actually against them. So Chipmunk said I'm in favor of the snip snip law. Yeah, I mean I think so. I think if these guys ever had a chance of getting out of jail, it should be on the condition of sterilization. They've already shown that she's willing to be a baby machine, and they're both willing to kill children and just make another one. That's a bad cycle that needs to be stopped. Look, hopefully they won't get out anyway, but if there was any chance that they could get out of jail, it needs to stop that cycle. The fact that she was 38 weeks pregnant at the time and she gave birth to another baby, a female, after they killed that one. Brutal. Hey, bye, Robert. See you, buddy. Yeah, we're going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here. Hey, I love you all. It's been an interesting night being back on this software. I'm sorry about what happened last night. I actually don't know what happened. It just kept making shows. I wasn't doing it. It just automatically kept making them. And it kept like doing, I delete one, and then 5 minutes later, there'd be a new one. And then I delete that one, and then 5 minutes later, there was a new one. It was driving me up the wall for like 2 hours trying to figure out why it was doing it. So we switched back to the other software just for until I can figure out why it's doing it. So I hope you like this one. I hope you like the new graphics. And And you should have got a notification today too. There should have been notifications as well. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll hang out with you guys. What is tomorrow? Saturday night. I'll be back for Saturday night with you all. All right. See you later. Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't even check. Good work, Ping. Who am I looking at? All right. Hey, I love you all very much. I'll be back tomorrow for Saturday night. See you later. Bye.